What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. I got a review for you. Let's get into it. All right, so today we're actually going to be looking at another fixed blade, but if you've watched the only other fixed blade knife that I own for the review, you know that I'm really partial to that one, and it drove my interest to check out something else in that size, but at a little bit of a lower price point. That brings us to the Vosteed Mink. So the Mink is a very interesting buy at this price point. I got to thinking because I do have, and I brought it out here for the size comparison since we're going to be doing that with the folders here in a minute. The Astronave Little Buddy is S90V G10 coming in at $110 with what I think is the pièce de la résistance, this very thin sheath with a deep carry pocket clip that's very minimal. I really liked that. That actually is what made this a very viable EDC for me. I never carried fixed blades before. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't want to get too much into it, but I got to thinking about that. Could I find something else at a little bit of a lower price? And that's where I found this. Let's go ahead and do the full review and then we'll jump into everything. Here are your regular size comparisons. Your Spyderco Shaman, very comparable to the PM2. And then here is your Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. And you can see that it is a little bit smaller than your Para 3, but when you look at the cutting edge, pretty impressive, right? We'll bring that back out here in just a moment. Let's bring in a more medium-sized EDC. This is the Miguron Moyorl. And we'll go ahead and move the Shaman out of the way. We'll bring out the Civivi Amorite. And these are very comparable to your Rat 1 and Rat 2 as far as size. Actually, Rat 1 would be more comparable to the Shaman and the Rat 2 more comparable to the Para 3. But my point being is it is smaller overall opened than the Moyorl, but you can see it's got way more cutting edge. Now, what I will say is when you fold and put away a small knife and when you fold and put away a large knife to put it in pocket, obviously it takes up a little bit more real estate. But when you look at a full-size knife, you're really only talking about this much knife that's left over. Now, I know what you're thinking. That doesn't include the sheath. And you're right, it doesn't. With the sheath, which we're going to jump into in just a second. I almost put that in upside down. Really good retention there. With the sheath, you're still not putting too much left over. So you're talking about everything from the finger over is what's left extra. It's really not that much real estate. And then when you talk about carry profile and you're talking about thickness, it's about the same thickness in the handle as the knife, but overall in thickness, you don't gain a lot. These thin sheaths with these thinner pocket clips, those go a long way for me in making this very friendly for EDC. You do lose the fidget factor, so I companion carry. If I'm carrying this in the other pocket in the organizer, I probably have that Para 3 Lightweight. But let's just check the weight out on the knife as well while we're here. 2.8 ounces. How does that compare against the Astronave Little Buddy? I have no idea. Really a big difference. That is a big difference in weight, guys. Almost 4 ounces, under 3. That's a big difference. Let's see how it compares with the sheath. Full disclosure, this came with the Tech Lock system, which I was not a big fan of. So coming in at 4.5 ounces with the sheath, I think this was just over 5. Yeah, 5.2. So really about the weight of the Shaman. And this might be about an ounce more than a bug out. Not a bug out. Any Civivi or Kaiser, because they're usually 3.5 ounces. So let's go ahead and move the scale out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and kick it down now to the garage for the cut test. And we'll be right back. Okay, guys, we're in the garage. I have done a little bit of cutting already with this one, so I do want to disclose that, but this is my first time handling any Nitro V from Vosteed, and I believe Kaiser is the OE for this, but regardless, let's go ahead and just really quick test that factory edge. So still feels pretty good, even though I have been using this. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of test on the board here. I am trying to figure out the best way to come in at this. This one does have the seam on it. So nice sharp edge. It has plenty of bite. So I am definitely impressed with this one. And again, super sharp, man. That I didn't even have to press down for that to get down into the zip tie. Let me tighten that back up. Plenty of belly. This would be, not only good for EDC, but if you needed to do some food prep, if you were overlanding, camping, something like that, I feel like this would do really good on a cutting board. Unfortunately, I'm on the inseam there, so that is kind of a little bit of a factor. Let's do the good old cardboard test. I have single ply cardboard here, and it is a really nice geometry with a good factory edge, but still robust enough for it to actually feel like you could do some hard use, heavy duty cutting with this one. And then it is a drop point, so for your draw cuts, you're gonna have to get up at a high angle, but it definitely has a nice acute tip to it. And that isn't a ton of cutting, I know, but I just like to talk a little bit about the geometry on these, their ability to slice and still have the ability to have that strength to be able to do a little bit more. So really good. The Nitro V continues to hold up really well, guys. I'm just super impressed, not just with the steel, the treatment, the factory edge, but also just how useful it is to have, a fixed blade that you can EDC very easily. I'm running out of space there to hold it. Let's go ahead and kick it back up to the table. All right, so let's talk about the sheath real quick first and up front and foremost. It came with the tech lock. I know, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out if, and this is like a hardened steel, but I'll link this down below. What I ended up doing was just caddy corner a hole here because I really don't care. I want the sheath to work for me, and I didn't want to keep ordering a bunch of pocket clips till I found it. What I was trying to accomplish was very similar to what you see here on the Astronaut's Little Buddy, which makes this very easy to EDC. I was trying to measure and match the depth, which is why I was trying to make the hole so I could get it to fit here. Unfortunately, it was hardened. My bits suck. I did order some better bits so that if I want to go back and get another one, I can make another hole. But after I got to messing with it, I just decided to go ahead and put a hole directly into the Kydex and then just assemble it. And it's working fine. I have no issues. I can keep updating a monitor on it, but the thinness and the fact that this doesn't bulk up in the pocket is really what makes this work. These Kydex sheaths, at least for me, are perfect. All right, let's jump into the knife and let's talk about it. So ergos are very comfortable. I am able to surprisingly get all 4 fingers on this very comfortably, very easy, no issues. I can relax the fingers and have, a spaced out grip. The jimping here on the back of the spine is fairly decent. It's not overly aggressive, but it's sharp and it catches the finger. I love this one here right in the middle. That's very Vox style because it gets me way out here to the tip of the blade, and I'm able to do a lot of that detailed work. But if I want, I can choke back and I can do a little bit more controlled power cut and choking up and actually going into the push cut for a power cut move. I'm able to really control the knife and go through there. So far, the Nitro V has really held up. The geometry on here is about comparable as far as how it feels to the naked hand, which is not a very good measurement. It feels about the same thickness. It just feels like right behind the edge on this one, they got it a little bit thinner on the Mink, which I think is really cool. As far as how these feel in the hand, you actually got a little bit more handle on your Mink than you do on your little buddy. But your little buddy, I'm only slightly hanging off of the back there. On the Mink, I actually have a little bit of real estate left over. But on the little buddy, I have a girthier handle, so I have more to grab onto. And this gets a little bit thinner in the back, so it's a little bit thinner to grab onto. The micarta and the G10 are very grippy on both. If you don't like the frag, then you can, little buddy it and get it this way. But I like the frag on the micarta, and it feels very grippy. And I think with micarta and G10 True, when they get a little wet from sweat or rain or whatever, they still have plenty of grip. They don't become slick like aluminum or titanium potentially could. The drop point on the Asher Knives Little Buddy is a little bit better. The Mink's a little bit taller, but that's why I say, this would be my primary if I'm carrying this one on that given day. And then I would, as a secondary, carry something that would be more utility style. So this would be great for puncture tasks, and the long flat going into the more steep belly is going to make this perform really well for a lot of duties, a lot of tasks. The draw cuts are going to be really comfortable and high, but any type of push cut, tabletop cutting, you got a little belly there that's going to allow you some wiggle room to perform and get a lot of tasks completed. It is Nitro V, but this comes in at under $70, guys. Under $70. That is incredible value. Nitro V, micarta, fixed blade sheath with a tech lock, and then, I'll link that pocket clip for the sheath as well when I link the knife in case you're interested in that. I would honestly don't even bother with making the other, trying to make the hole into the hardened steel. Just go ahead and make your hole in the sheath. It's really a simple mod if you do it that way. I kind of wish that's where I would have started, but learn from my mistakes. You do have a lanyard hole here. I think that's really good because from what I've seen with like fixed blades, when you're chopping, if your hand gets wet or whatever, you can do the lanyard off the back and over the wrist. And then, if the knife slips out, it doesn't go very far. Like you can catch it. But I would be nervous doing that because I'd be worried about it swinging into my leg, depending on what you're doing. But if you're in a bunch of bush, and you're chopping, I imagine that lanyard's going to just keep it from like flying somewhere where you can't find it. But the bush would keep it from coming back on you. At least I would hope. I don't know. I don't have any experience with the chopping. Again, these are my first everyday carry fixed blades. So for me, I'm just going to rock it as is. I believe these are T8 hardware, like on the Asher. Yeah, these are T8, so you can take these off, change your scales, make your own scales. That's a really nice point for that. The fact that it's a lighter weight carry is just going to make it even that much lighter than the little buddy in the pocket. I think this is a really cool knife, really good value, and a great option and size if you want something to check out without breaking the bank to see if you would like to EDC a fixed blade. They're also really handy. I don't think even if you didn't, would want to get rid of it. You could do for like a bug out bag. If you hunt, you fish, you hike. This would probably even be really good for me because I mountain bike, and right now I got like a really small fixed blade in that pack so I can cut things open. Cut the tips off of zip ties if I need a zip tie cable or something together, if the factory clamp gives, because those over time with age and exposure to the elements, those give way too. So this could be a great option to grab another one of these, or maybe something different. If I wanted to try something different, maybe even try like a 3-finger and see how I feel about like a 3-finger with a big blade. Probably could do that as well. There's a ton of options. You might not need a folder that you want to leave in the vehicle. Maybe you just want a fixed blade that you can put in a sheath and mount somewhere, or stow it in the center console or something. There's just a ton of great options for these, and I'm so glad that I checked them out because I don't think that I would have checked these out otherwise. $70 for Nitro V, micarta sheath, and a tech lock system. Man, that's really good value. I don't know if anyone out there is super interested in the fixed blade EDC, but I do encourage you to check them out. And this, I think, is another great example of good value for money where you can afford to take that risk, take that chance. Let me know what you think about the Vosteed Mink down in the comments below. Shout out to everyone out there that likes, uses the links, comments, is subscribed, and watches the video all the way to the end, because that also really helps the channel. Tells the algorithm that you guys really enjoy the content, and I appreciate it. So I hope that you are enjoying the content. Special shout out to the members. You're going to get that early access. I appreciate your continued support with those memberships. It really does help the channel. I hope all of you have a fantastic week, guys, and until next time, peace.